like and share this video because it is free.
Frexel. 9 was not a forgiving place. The trees dripped with venom, the ground shifted with life, and the air hummed with silent killers. Nixery breathed in like home. She stood tall, obsidian armor glinting under the orange canopy, her eyes fixed on the clearing ahead. Today was a hunt, the sacred ritual, and her prey was human. The others laughed when they heard. A human? They had hoped for something rare, something challenging. But Nixery wanted this. She'd read the reports. Unstable, they said. Unpredictable. She didn't believe the hype. Every species broke the same way when the hunt began. The cage opened. The human stepped out. He didn't run. He simply looked around, took a breath, and walked calmly into the jungle. Nixery tilted her head. Curious. His name was Reed, according to the intel packet. No weapons, no armor, just standard claw fatigues, dirt-stained and torn. The implant in his neck pulsed faintly on her scanner. He was being tracked. The Zalari hunting squad followed from above, camouflaged in the trees, wings tucked, cloaks activated. Her elite, the best. Should we prod him? One of them asked through comms. Let him feel the eyes first, she replied. Fear ripens a soul. But Reed didn't flinch. He walked like someone on a mission, not aimless, not frantic, deliberate. They circled him for an hour, observed, measured. He never once looked up. Nixery activated the voice feed. Why don't you run, human? No reply. Her team laughed again. One scout, Carrot, flew ahead to plant a motion trap. Seconds later, his signal went dead. Check his feed, she ordered. The last few frames showed a blur, then static. A nervous hush fell across the channel. Glitch, someone muttered, but they all knew it wasn't. Nixery leaned forward. Send 2 more. Flank and recon. The jungle swallowed them. A minute passed, then 2, then 5. Static. She watched the tracker again. Reed's pulse was calm. Too calm. He's not running, she murmured. He's hunting. Impossible. He had no weapons, no training, no map of this terrain. And yet, she toggled her visor to thermal. Something moved behind the brush. One of her scouts, approaching the human. The scout raised a stun rifle. Then he vanished from view. The next image came from a drone. The scout's body, hanging upside down from a tree. The rifle gone. Blood dripping from a clean cut across his chest. Next to him, a word smeared in Zalari blood. Try harder. Nixery's lips thinned. This was no fluke. She deployed 3 more. Fan out. No mistakes. They moved fast, silent. Predator trained. Shadows among shadows. And one by one, their signals winked out. No screams. No warning. Only silence. She pulled up her tactical map. Her team, once encircling the human, was now gone. 7 elite scouts. Erased. Reed's signal hadn't moved far. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He was waiting. He's using our tech, someone said, voice tight. Impossible, another snapped. It's bio-locked. Nixery knew better. The humans had hacked Empire tech before. Crude but effective. But this level of precision, it wasn't luck. It was skill. She landed quietly among the trees, cutting the comms. She'd lead the rest herself. The jungle air thickened. Every step crackled with tension. Nixery saw markings on tree bark. Symbols, coordinates, calculations. Her own species symbols, scrawled by the human. He'd studied them, understood them. A loam caught her ear. She turned. A motion-triggered sonic trap activated. One of their own. Redirected. Her squad scattered, disoriented by the pulse. From the shadows, Reed struck. He didn't shout, didn't growl, just moved with mechanical precision. 2 more fell. Throats crushed, armor split, eyes wide with shock. Nixery raised her weapon, but he was gone before her sights locked. She backed into a tree, only to find a blade buried into the bark, inches from her neck. Not metal, bone, sharpened, efficient, attached to the hilt. A tag ripped from one of her fallen. She pulled back, heart racing. She was the Empress General, predator of 10 conquests. And for the first time in decades, she felt hunted. A rustle, a whisper over the comms. His voice. "You think I came here to escape?" She froze. "You think I didn't plan for this?" The line went dead. The command ship above pinged her. "Ma'am, we've lost uplink to half the sensor net. Remote override attempted from ground level." He was hijacking her battlefield. She activated emergency recall for the remaining team. Only one responded, bleeding, stumbling, terrified. He was right behind me. The soldier gasped, "He's not human, he's death." Nixery looked down at the blade still in the tree. She yanked it out, examined the carvings. Not random, the name of one of her warships. She blinked. That ship had raided New Terra, a human colony. So that's what this was. Not survival. Retribution. She turned her eyes to the jungle, scanning for heat signatures. Nothing. The jungle itself seemed to have grown eyes. The last soldier screamed. Static followed. Alone now, Nixery moved with care. No longer the hunter. No longer in control. She stepped into a small clearing. And there he was, standing, waiting, still no weapon in his hands. She raised her plasma rifle. "You could have run," she said coldly. He tilted his head, face unreadable. "You should have." He took a step forward and smiled, just slightly. The rifle shivered in her grip. Then he turned and walked away, not fleeing, inviting. Nixery didn't follow. Not yet. She finally understood what terrified her most. It wasn't the kills. It wasn't the tactics. It was that he wanted her to come. And he wasn't done. The jungle no longer felt like a hunting ground. It was a battlefield transformed by Reed's presence. Nixery's elite squad was shattered. 6 dead, 1 missing. And her confidence was unraveling faster than she could patch it. The hunters had become the hunted. The survivors moved cautiously, voices hushed in the comms. Every sensor was on high alert. But Reed stayed a ghost. He was never where they expected, never predictable. "We're being tracked," said Lieutenant Creel, voice tight. "He's analyzing our patterns, adapting. He's using our own technology against us." "Impossible." Nixery snapped, scanning the data herself. But the evidence was undeniable. Thermal cams were being jammed. Drones were lost mid-flight, and surveillance feeds glitched in critical moments. Reed had turned their strengths into weaknesses. Nixery clenched her fists. Adapt and overcome. This isn't over. The squad deployed in stealth formation, switching from open tracking to ambush countermeasures. They moved quietly, scanning the dense foliage, but the jungle answered only with silence. Then came the first warning. A scout scream cut through the night, distant but sharp. The team rushed toward the sound, only to find the remains, clean, precise. No signs of struggle, just a shattered body. Clutched in the fallen's hand was a data chip, scrambled but salvageable. Nixery ordered a quick decryption. The message inside chilled the squad, a looped recording of the scout's last moments, overlaid with distorted whispers and a faint human voice repeating, "You're hunting ghosts now." Morale faltered. "This isn't just a man," one soldier muttered. "It's something else." Nixery refused to believe it. "Fear is a weapon," she said. "Don't let it cut you down." But inside, she felt the sting of doubt. That night, she studied Reed's dossier again. A human Black Ops operative trained for the impossible, extracted from Earth's deadliest programs. His mission was clear: survive capture, turn the tables and dismantle enemy operations from within. A flash of memory hit her. Briefings about Reed's lost squad on New Terra. Civilians caught in crossfire. Ships burned. The humans' reputation as fragile creatures was a lie. They fought with fire when pushed to the edge. Nixery realized this wasn't a hunt. It was personal. The next day, she took the lead herself. She needed to face this anomaly, this human who defied all expectations. Cloaked in her darkest armor, she slipped into the jungle depths alone. The usual confidence was tempered by caution. Every step was measured, every shadow a threat. She found signs, disrupted traps, reversed ambushes, even her own squad's discarded equipment, repurposed as crude weapons. He wasn't just surviving, he was controlling the terrain. Her comms crackled. "General, the ship systems are being interfered with. Remote shutdown attempt detected." Reed was here, on her ground, dismantling her advantage piece by piece. Nixery's breath tightened. This wasn't just a man. It was a storm. She set a trap of her own. Thermal decoys, noisemakers, tripwires. Then waited. Hours passed. No sign. She returned to her camp. What she found stopped her heart. The ship's engines were dead. Wires cut with precision. Communications jammed. Reed wasn't escaping. He was imprisoning them. Nixery's voice was cold when she reported, "He's not running. He's hurting us." Her remaining troops huddled in fear, shadows growing longer. A rustle behind her made her whip around. Nothing but leaves. Then a whisper in her comms. "Why don't you run?" The voice was calm, steady, no malice, just certainty. Nixery's fingers itched for her weapon, but she stayed still. Reed was not the prey here. He was a hunter. The voice lingered in her comms like a cold breath, calm, unyielding. "Why don't you run?" Nixery's grip tightened on her plasma rifle, but she said nothing. Silence was her answer. She moved forward, every sense alert. The jungle felt alive, too alive. The usual symphony of insects and distant calls were gone, replaced by an oppressive stillness. Then came the first sign, a circle of scorched earth, trees blackened and cracked, like a small explosion had detonated moments ago. She knelt to inspect it. Chemical residues, unknown to her scanners. A warning. Her comms flickered again. "You're surrounded," the voice said, soft, almost amused. Nixery spun, weapon ready. "Nothing." She whispered into the comm, "Show yourself." "Why? To see if you're brave? Or foolish?" She took a breath. "I'm neither." No response. Only silence. Nixery's mind raced. He wasn't attacking outright. He was playing a game. Psychological warfare. She remembered the message left on the scout's body. Try harder. This was no ordinary human. This was a strategist, an executioner who knew the rules before the game began. Nixery activated her visor to scan for heat signatures. The jungle revealed shadows shifting, blurs of movement, but nothing solid. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A deep rhythmic thud. She froze. A massive beast stepped into the clearing, twice her height, covered in spiked armor plates. It was one of the jungle's apex predators, a creature no soldier survived against unarmed. Nixery raised her weapon instinctively. Then, without warning, the beast roared and charged. She fired. The plasma blast struck the creature, but it barely faltered. It crashed through the trees, knocking her off balance. Before she could react, a figure appeared behind the beast. Reed, no weapon in hand, just a stare that froze the creature in place. He spoke softly, words in his own tongue, a low chant that made the air hum. The beast stopped, lowered its head, then vanished into the shadows. Nixery stared, stunned. "How?" she demanded through comms. "Control," came the reply. "Respect earned. Fear is not the only language." Reed stepped forward, eyes calm. "You see," he said, "you think I'm weak? That without weapons, I'm helpless." Nixery raised her plasma rifle. "You're a threat. Why spare me?" "Because you asked the right question," he said. "Why don't I run?" "Because I'm not afraid to stand." She lowered her weapon slightly. He continued. "Running is easy. Surviving is harder. But standing your ground when death is at your heels? That is power." Nixery's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if this is a challenge." "It is," he said, "but not the one you expect." Reed motioned to the jungle around them. "This planet, your forces, your empire, is a predator itself. I'm here to remind you that prey can fight back." Nixery's calm crackled. Another scout's voice, distant but alive. "General, we found something." She followed the coordinates. There, carved into the tree trunks and rocks, were symbols, ancient, battle-worn marks. The human had been here before. Reed's presence wasn't random. He'd been tracking the Empire's operations, mapping their weaknesses. He wasn't just a survivor. He was a revolution. Nixery's mind raced. Her orders were clear: capture or kill the human operative. But now, she questioned everything. Could she stop a man who turned the jungle into his weapon? The answer came quickly. Her squad's transmissions ended with a final, desperate warning: he's everywhere. You can't fight what you don't understand. Nixery swallowed hard. The hunter had become the hunted, and she was next. Nixery stood alone in the deep jungle, the echoes of her lost squad fading into the silence. The heavy weight of command pressed down on her, but the realization settled deeper. She was facing something far beyond a simple hunt. Reed wasn't just a human. He was a force rewriting the rules. Her calm crackled suddenly, a faint voice cutting through the static. "General, you need to hear this." A transmission, intercepted from Reed's own gear, played back a message in broken Empire dialect. Empires fall because they forget what hunts them. The phrase echoed in Nixery's mind like a prophecy. Her scanners detected faint energy traces, small but concentrated. Reed had left traps, not just physical, but digital, mechanical, and biological. They weren't just attacks. They were lessons. She moved cautiously, stepping into a wide clearing where the air was thick with tension. Suddenly, the jungle erupted. From every direction, weapons fired, silent projectiles, electric nets, and sonic pulses. But they were different, calibrated, designed to disable, not kill. Reed stepped out of the shadows, hands raised. "No fear, no hostility. You want answers," he said calmly. "Here's one. We fight not because we want to kill, but because we refuse to be victims." Nixery narrowed her eyes. "Why target my forces? Why this planet?" "Because your empire thrives on fear," Reed replied. "You take, destroy, conquer. But there's a price." He stepped closer. "You want to know why I didn't run? Because running means surrendering your future." Nixery felt the sting of truth in those words. The empire she represented had crushed worlds, silenced voices, and left scars that would never heal. "But this ends," she said, voice hard. "One way or another." Reed smiled, sharp and calm. "No," he said, "it's only just beginning." In that moment, Nixery saw the human not as a foe, but as a mirror, a reflection of her own ambition, pain, and resolve. "You think you're special," she said, "that you alone can resist." He shook his head. "It's not about being special. It's about choice. To stand when everything urges you to fall." The jungle seemed to hold its breath. Nixery lowered her weapon fully, a rare gesture of respect. "Then prove it," she said. "Show me what you truly are." Reed nodded. Survivor, fighter, human. As he vanished back into the jungle's depths, Nixery understood. The hunt was over, but the war had only begun.